32 observation pods takes about 30 minutes. On a clear day from the top, you can see as far out. Ahead of us is Hungerford Railway Bridge, which has two graceful footbridges on either side. This is a quick way to cross the river, with great views as you walk across. Moored just this side of Hungerford Bridge, on our left, is the white and blue ship, the Hispaniola, once a Scottish ferry, and now a floating restaurant.
That's the
It's just
floating
one
restaurant.
of many interesting old ships we'll see on our journey down the river.
It's a walking path on that side and this side. Oh, that's the floating restaurant there. Yeah, it says lunch and
The large building on our right now is the Royal Festival Hall. It's one of London's main concert venues, and inside, as well as a vast concert hall, there are exhibitions, shops and cafes. If you look on the other side of the river, just by the road, you'll see London's oldest monument. It's an 18-metre high stone obelisk called Cleopatra's Needle. And it's 3,500 years old. In fact, it has nothing to do with Cleopatra, but was one of a pair of obelisks made more than 1,000 years before her lifetime. The other obelisk is now in New York's Central Park. Cleopatra's Needle was presented to Britain in 1819 by the Turkish Viceroy of Egypt, and today it seems rather forlorn, sandwiched between the road and the river, thousands of miles from its homeland. We've just sailed under Waterloo Bridge, and if you look to the right, you'll see the large concrete structure of the National Theatre. Many people dislike its architectural style and much prefer the grand tree-fronted building directly opposite on the other side of the river. This is Somerset House, built in the late 18th century, and for many years where the register of births, deaths and marriages was kept. In 2000, however, Somerset House was reopened as a new cultural centre, including the fine paintings of the Courtauld Institute and the rare treasures of the Gilbert collection and the Hermitage rooms. Ahead of us as we travel downstream is a unique view of the city, London's financial district. Despite the modern tall buildings, the famous dome of St Paul's Cathedral still stands out clearly on the skyline. There's
bridge here.
was the vast Tate Modern, the world's largest modern art gallery. This is worth a visit just to see the immense interior, but it also houses works by all the major artists of the 20th century, including Matisse, Picasso, and Warhol. Linking Tate Modern with the City and St. Paul's is the elegant arc of the Millennium Bridge. It had a difficult start in life, being closed just days after it opened because of the alarming way it wobbled when people walked across it. Today, it provides a striking new route across the river. If you look left as we go under the bridge, you'll have a clear view of St. Paul's Cathedral, designed by Sir Christopher Wren after the Great Fire of London in 1666 destroyed the old St. Paul's. Its enormous dome is second only in size to St. Peter's in Rome. Interestingly, wasn't part of Wren's first design. He had wanted a huge steeple instead. If you look to the right, you'll see an unusual white building with a thatched roof. This is Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, an accurate reconstruction of the theatre that once stood near here, and where most of Shakespeare's later plays were first performed. Around 1600, this area was London's theatre land, with no fewer than 4 thriving playhouses. There were also a fair number of brothels in the vicinity. On the same side of the river as the Globe Theatre, and nestling below the bridge, is the Anchor Inn. The present building is a mere 200 years or so old, but there has been an inn here since the 15th century, probably serving the likes of Shakespeare and his colleagues. Samuel Pepys, writing in 1666, described a little alehouse on Bankside, where he watched the Great Fire of London taking hold across the river. It's possible that the Anchor was that alehouse. If you look to your right, almost hidden among the buildings, is a small sailing ship. This is an exact replica of the Golden Hind, a ship in which Sir Francis Drake sailed round the world, returning in 1580. He was the first Englishman to make the journey, and did it not for glory, but for money. Queen Elizabeth I had given him full permission to attack and loot any Spanish colonies he could find.
Oh my god,
Is
why that
London
song
Bridge,
now?
on the site of the first permanent crossing over the Thames, which was built by the Romans. It's also the site of the famous medieval London Bridge, crowded with timber-framed houses,
Can you go up
shops,
then?
and even a chapel. At the side
Where?
of the bridge was
Yo, can you go
spikes
up?
with the heads of
Bring
traitors
your
and
gloves.
criminals put on display for everyone entering the city to see.
There. Zombie. Just go. Open it. No, you can't. Shit. Oh.
You may just get a glimpse of started a baker shop. bridge was also designed so that the roadway could lift up like two arms to allow tall ships to sail through, something that still happens today. As we approach the pier, please remain seated until we have stopped. If you're getting off here, remember to take all your belongings with you and to return your commentary receivers and headsets to the crew. These don't work if they're taken off the boat. If you want to join one of our sailings later today, simply check the timetable at the pier. We hope you've enjoyed your city cruise and hope to see you again soon. If you'd like to find out about our other services, please pick up one of our leaflets.
That's a wicked boat. That's a ship. That's a bloody ship.
Just coming into Tower Pier now. If you're going back to Westminster from here, the boats leave here every 35 minutes. The last boat will leave at 5:15. If you're carrying on to Greenwich, stay on board. We will be leaving Greenwich straight away. Thank you.
Do I want a picture here?
You want a picture?
Yeah. I don't want a picture here, mate. Take a picture.